It's important to make the right decisions, like when to go for it on fourth down, or when to kick the field goal or go for the touchdown. It's also important to make the right insurance decisions, too. That's why my office, Trey McAdams State Farm, is here to help you select the right protection at the right price. Our office will make sure you understand your State Farm coverages so you'll know what to expect when the unexpected happens. With Trey McAdams State Farm, it's easy to make the right call. When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Proud sponsor of the Tennessee Vols.
Wow, Will Brooks and this Tennessee defense continues to prove why they're one of the best defenses in the country. Massive plays made all over the field, from the opening drive to that final defensive play for Tennessee made an otherwise explosive offense for Alabama look incredibly pedestrian. I'm Paige Dower. This is the Field Pass. And those efforts by the Tennessee defense led to them defeating Alabama at home in back-to-back trips. We look back to a week ago against Florida. Of course, you're not wanting it to be that close with a Florida team that's all but down. You don't want it to go to overtime, but a win is a win regardless of how ugly that win was. That was also the first time since 1990 and 1992 that a Tennessee team beat Florida in back-to-back trips to Neyland Stadium. Again, reinforcing just how far this team has come, especially in a crucial time in the sport where you have NIL, you have transfer portal, you have immediate play, which has really evened the playing field across the board. They've been able to do that despite all of the obstacles that they had to overcome with NCAA investigations, scholarship reductions. So maybe this might be a chance to appreciate these wins regardless of what the final score is while they're happening. It also came at a crucial time to get that win over Alabama. Both these teams kind of were on the precipice of maybe not staying in the game if they were the team that lost this game, because both of them entered the game with one loss on their schedule. Of course, Tennessee dropping to Arkansas, and then, Alabama losing to Vanderbilt. Neither games that these teams, thought that they were going to lose. So now Alabama, they're pretty much on life support. They need a lot of parity if they want a shot as a two-loss team. Could be worse as their season goes on, because it's not an easy schedule to maybe be a top 12 team. Then you look at Tennessee. This win over Alabama goes a long way in their campaign to continue to be a playoff caliber team. They're sitting quite comfortable right now in the latest polls, but they've got a tough schedule coming up as well, with Georgia kind of knocking on the door in a couple of weeks as well. So definitely bolsters their campaign, even if they end up being a two-loss team. That win over Alabama certainly will go a very long way. But let's switch our gear back to the game against Alabama on Saturday. They were massive plays on defense. This will be all about defense today. We'll get to Will Brooks later in the show, but on defense, those massive plays, some of them maybe not getting the hype a lot of us, especially on this channel, probably think they should be getting, but that we noticed in the game. How about Jakobe Thomas? That massive play early in the game against Alabama. They're on Tennessee's 10-yard line. It's 2nd and 5. Bama essentially has a bunch set on the left sideline, so likely a run design play. Jalen Milroe keeps it on the scramble, but he gets in front of the blockers, and as he kind of gets in front of his blockers, you see Jakobe Thomas just fly in on that gap that's exposed and tackle Jalen Milroe for a massive loss on what would have otherwise been probably a touchdown run by Jalen Milroe, as he has nearly a couple dozen touchdowns on the season already. Massive play by Jakobe Thomas. You knew he was going to get up for this game. He was hype on the ball walk. He was one of the first guys on the field to warm up, as some of the guys were still coming in from the ball walk. So he was definitely out there to make big energy kind of plays, big momentum changing kind of plays. That was exactly one of them. Another one, of course, was Jermod McCoy. How could any of us forget how locked down of a corner he was, especially when he was matched up in coverage with Tennessee's or Alabama's wide receiver, Ryan Williams. You look to the touchdown pass that Jalen Milroe was trying to get to Ryan Williams in that front pylon, but Jermod McCoy had eyes on Milroe that entire time, took it back 54 yards, his first interception since he took one back 17 yards earlier in the season. So when in coverage against Ryan Williams, he had 5 targets, but Jermod McCoy only allowed 2 catches for 28 yards, 5 yards after the catch, no touchdowns, and of course that interception. PFF also had a really interesting season stat on Jermod McCoy, but it was leading in to the Alabama game, so the stats are a little nicer than what I'm about to read you right now. So in 173 coverage snaps, he's allowed 0 touchdowns. He had 1 interception, 4 PBUs, and his PFF grade was 84.6. But of course, we know after the Alabama game, it was so much better than that because he had 8 total tackles, 5 were solo, 3 were assisted. He also had half a TFL, an interception, and another PBU, continuing to be one of the better corners and DBs on this team. Both of those guys making massive plays in this game. And some of those stats and total tackles, he co-led, of course, with Will Brooks in that. So just absolutely unreal what they've been able to do. And now through 7 games, the defense has not allowed more than 19 points scored on them all year long. That is exactly why they're one of the best defenses in the country. And after their 7th game, they're the 4th best total defense in the FBS. When Josh Heupel was asked, did you believe that they were going to be able to be this good of a team heading into the season with Tim Banks at the helm as the defensive coordinator? He's like, yeah, I thought we had a chance to be cohesive.
We would have a chance to be a really cohesive unit, 11 guys tied in, be able to play all 3 levels of the defense together. The depth up front would give us a chance to be good at the line of scrimmage. How some of our young guys on the back end would grow and develop would be critical. Tim and our staff have done a great job.
Jermod is an unbelievable player. He's, I see him every day just working, preparing, and he just does everything right. And it's great to see him be able to go out there and make those plays because it's awesome to have a guy like that out on the edge and just know he's going to lock all the receivers down.
Now, so as advertised, as promised, we'll get to Will Brooks and talk about his performance and really what he's been able to do this entire season has honestly been unreal. But when you understand the kind of player that he is, it seems like, oh yeah, he was destined to have a season like this. All in the offseason, we heard just how much of a player's coach he was, his teammates truly going to him so often when they're needing clarification, when they have, a question in coverage or why a defense is doing X, Y, Z in practice. And it's Will Brooks who always has the answers because he's always in the film room. That might be why, Arion Carter spends so much time studying as well. That was one of our points that I had in the spring practice is that there just seems to be a new level of accountability on the defensive side, especially in the DB room, with just how much they're studying the film and studying and getting prepared for things. And maybe it's just because one guy leads, the rest follow, and then they become leaders and accountability people for each other, right? Well, when we look at this game, he co-led with Jermod McCoy with 8 total tackles, 5 solo, 3 assisted. He had, I think, 1.5 TFLs, or he had a TFL, and then of course that massive interception. I believe he also had a QB hurry as well. But what's really impressive about what he was able to do in that play was obviously get that interception on Jalen Milroe to save the game for Tennessee. And sometimes it's really fun listening to the players talk back what they were seeing in a play when they knew they were about to go and make a play.
I was just telling them just a few minutes ago, we were in quarters coverage and I was a man on man and I just seen it unfold and I seen him break on the ball. I was like, oh yeah, he's finna go get that. So it's just great knowing you got a guy that's gonna be in the right position at the right time and do his job at a very high level. And I wouldn't want anybody else behind me, point blank period.
And I mentioned Arion Carter a moment ago. We kind of highlighted his comments in our post-game report on Sunday. But what I really liked about his comments in the game afterwards was it was unprompted what he said about Will Brooks, giving him his flowers. It's really something I could watch all day. So I want to play it one more time because he interrupts his own answer to make sure that Will Brooks gets the praise he deserves.
Give, like I said before, offense something to stand on and be able to finish the game out. And just let me just say this, this guy is one of the most unselfish people you'll ever meet. For the team, does his job at an extremely high level and holds everybody accountable. And just having him beside me, because we work with each other a lot on the field, I wouldn't want it any other way. I love my brother here.
Appreciate that, AC.
Nope.
My coaches and teammates, my family who's always supported me, just everyone who's always supported me. Thankful for coaches believing in me, giving me the opportunity, and my teammates playing with me and, causing pressures to allow that to happen.
Yeah, so doing your job at an extremely high level allows you to play with this IQ, and you see it out on the field. He now has 37 total tackles on the season. In every single defensive category this season, it is now his career and, single season best. He's outperformed every single season prior here at Tennessee just through 7 games this season. And he's played 13 games in his first 2 seasons. He played 10 games a season ago. So it shows that this dedication and work ethic and tireless work that he's had from the offseason and through now, that it's allowed the team to trust him out on the field. And when you have guys like Will Brooks, Arion Carter, Ricky Gibson, Jermod McCoy, any of those guys on defense, you then get an answer from Josh Heupel, who reveals that, oh yeah, the way that the defense is playing, yeah, it lets you open up your playbook a little bit more.
Guys that have belief, confidence, and trust in one another and continue to play for one another on their side of the ball, on the other side of the ball, it's awesome. And it's the culture that you want to have inside your locker room. It's really special. Ricky, Jalen, when he's in, it changes what you're able to structurally do defensively. It changes the game for the coordinator. It gives you the ability to open up your playbook.
And I guess we really should have believed them more earlier in the season and in the offseason, where they really did have this confidence about them that they could be the best defense or one of the best defenses in the country. And especially lately for the Tennessee Volunteers, it's definitely one of their best defenses as of late through 7 games, with a lot of big games in those 7 games so far. So I definitely think maybe we should have given those words more credibility during the offseason. But if they can continue to do this, again, not giving up more than 19 points to a single opponent through 7 games, really is incredible. And I think if they can continue to rely on that and continue to execute the way that they have, this team will go a long way. Because why on offense? They're getting just a bit closer, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as the week continues. But I definitely wanted this show just to be all defense, give the defense love, because those guys made some really big plays, again, making an otherwise explosive offense look incredibly rudimentary, elementary, pedestrian, whatever word you'd like to use. That's what Alabama looked like. Despite it being an off week, though, for Tennessee football, we'll have so much content coming up this week, especially with the Lady Vol basketball team. They will have their media availability on Wednesday. We'll also get some practice footage as well. So I will have a recap on that coming up this week, but I also might put out something before we get to that. We'll also hear from Josh Heupel on Wednesday as well. Some exhibition games coming up that we'll also have a chance to get to. So turn on those notifications, subscribe. I don't want you all to miss out. We have so much more content coming up. If you missed the highlights from the win against Alabama, I also posted some clips of that, specifically the final drive and some of the stuff you've seen in this show. There's a more full-length part of that in the practice highlight section on the homepage. But until then, I'll talk to you guys Wednesday.